our best. A different one today. I'm going to hand it over to Marty. He's going to have the reins today. I think Marty wants to talk about guardian angels.
Yeah, thanks, Lee. Yes, this will be in two parts. This is episode 1. And the subject, guardian angels, is a very interesting subject that people are quite happy to talk about at times, because the thought of a guardian angel, a being that is actually caring, watching over you, has interest to preserve you from harm. This has been the subject of numerous films. I think of a few. I could do a talk probably on that alone, but I'll run a few of the older ones that I happen to like past you. We all remember the James Stewart film It's a Wonderful Life, where the guardian angel is sent to preserve him from committing suicide. Another one, a Christmas one, a lovely family film, The Bishop's Wife, Cary Grant as the angel, Loretta Young, David Niven. Lovely family film. The American comedian Jack Benny, The Horn Blows at Midnight, comedy. And another one, Clifton Webb, For Heaven's Sake. All the subject of angels, and there's numerous more and modern ones today. You can think of them yourself. So I'm going to share again some real life true stories in my own life of being preserved from harm. Let's just touch briefly on the subject of what an angel is. The biblical understanding is that they are a created being. They are personalities. They're neither God. Only God has created all things, the seen and the unseen realm. And they're not people that have died. So they are a separate form of being, and they have different functions, different purposes. We know in the Bible there was Gabriel announcing messages, there was Michael, and then there are the guardian angels who are sent forth to minister to the heirs of salvation. So, in my own life, I think of a story. I corroborated this with my sister, because I'd heard this a long time back but wanted to get it right, because we relay information that we want to be truthful, factual, no elaborations, no embellishments, no exaggerations, just simply as we remember it, truthfully, factually, to be. Now, for those who remember the very first video I did with Lee, called Martin's Story, I shared about my mum's background coming from overseas in Lithuania. And when they were leaving Lithuania with her family at the port of the Baltic Sea to go by boat, my mother was sent to buy bread. She was the oldest daughter, for the journey on the boat. And she arrived late back, and the boat was missed, and they had to catch the boat behind it. They caught the second boat. That first boat was torpedoed by a submarine, and the people died, were drowned. The point of the story is that had my mother been on that boat, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you today. Neither would my sister, neither would be the grandchildren, etc. So we see intervention, and here's a point to think on. It's not just keeping you alive per se, it's all the people that would be born from you that would appear in the generations following, that God would have specific plans in their lives for. So they're really got to be on the job, haven't they? These angelic beings, to preserve all of us. So I think of an incident when I was a teenager, probably 18, 19. And I mean, teenagers, you know the trouble they get into with fights, with violence, various things that go on. And I think of an incident. We'd been out on the town with a mate called Nick, and we'd missed the last bus, and we decided to walk home. And we were down by the canal, the old Filbert Street football ground area, and there was no cars about, particularly quiet, and it was dark, and my mate was on this side of me talking as we crossed the road. Well, suddenly he shouted and ran across the road. I turned my head to see an oncoming car that was speeding fast. It was coming over the hill, and suddenly it appeared, and I knew as I looked at it, it would hit me. Now, I just watched on the telly the Rockford Files with James Garner, Jimbo. Those who remember him, he was always chucking himself across the road with cars and various things. So I immediately went into Rockford mode of throwing myself across the road, and the car hit me, sent me flying across the road, and I landed on my chin, and I lay there. The car pulled over. Now, do you remember the days when people used to stop? They used to actually stop when they knocked you down. And it was a young couple, man and his girlfriend, and my mate was standing there with his fists clenched angrily, and they wouldn't come out until I got up and showed a sign of life. And then he calmed down and relaxed, and they came out, and they gave us a lift home, and I was quite happy. And funnily enough, I went, with the same guy. We were at a discotheque, and that guy who knocked me down, he said to his mates, "Come here," he says, "this is the guy I ran over, I knocked down." I said, "Yes." He says, "How are you?" I says, "Well, I've been to the infirmary, I had my knee x-rayed, it's fine." He says, "You damaged the whole of my front of the car and smashed it in." But I was fine. So the angel was on the job that day. I give thanks that he was in that. Now, there was another case where I was working on the market and in Leicester, and somebody offered me a job working out of town as well as in Leicester, but there were 3 days coming up that I could be in Milton Keynes on the Saturday, the Tuesday, and Daventry in Northamptonshire on the Friday. Well, I said, I can do the Tuesday and Friday. I said, and I will do the Saturdays, but not at the minute. I said, because I've got various things to do and there's things going on, and I simply cannot do them at the minute. So they tried to talk me into it, but I said, no, I can't do it just yet. Well, it came up that after the Friday I'd done at Daventry, the Saturday morning I got a phone call from another person on the market who said that the lorry had crashed, killing the driver. He was an Italian lad, Italian English, Sebastiano Flora, nice guy, Jarno we called him. And that morning, the 2 lads who were with him, Darren and John, they'd been on the night out. The radio in the cab wasn't working. They didn't bring the cassette tapes that they normally have, like speakers. The windows were rolled up, and they both put their feet on the dashboard and went off to sleep. And Jarno was driving. He dropped asleep at the wheel as we crossed into Northamptonshire, went down the embankment, smashed through into a field, and he broke his neck. I'd have been sitting just next to him. And I can see the mercy of God in an incident like that. I was on another occasion doing my dad's shopping, crossing a busy road, the Narborough Road, at Foss Park with the Asda and all the shops there. And it's a fast main road, traffic lights. I waited for my green man. Yes, I can walk across now. That car stopped. So off I went, walking through with my shopping trolley, and I felt a load of air suddenly hit the back of my neck, whoosh, like that. And there was a car that just come through, and by a second to a second and a half, just missed me. And I think of another incident, this time going to work on my bicycle, and again I'd stopped waiting for the green man. One car had stopped, it had changed, I could go across, a car had stopped, and I began pedalling across, and suddenly this white van comes flying through and just misses me. Again, a second and a half. Now, I'm going to pause it here, but join me and Lee for part 2 of Guardian Angels.
There you go then. God bless.